A very warm welcome back to West Ham Unofficial, where we're here to discuss a decisive weekend in the Premier League, which has seen Arsenal establish a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League with Chelsea, their nearest opponent. Blimey. I hope you are all well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. A weekend that has seen Liverpool lose, City lose, Arsenal win, and also it's all heating up down the bottom as well. So plenty to discuss, an action-packed weekend. And of course, Josh and Sean are here with me to go through it all. How are we, gentlemen?
Not bad, thank you.
I'm all good, mate.
Stuff.
Not too bad.
Good stuff. We've got a win, a loss, and a draw amongst us this weekend. So we've got plenty to get through. Josh's granddad is in. Noosh, Mr. Terry, I hope you are well. Thanks for joining us. Twitchy pun time for me, of course. Everton in action this evening against Man United in just under an hour. Let's first of all go to Anfield. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 3 now. Sean, we've been very critical of Nottingham Forest over the course of this season. Now, I saw them go 1-0 up as I was inside the Vitality, and I went, okay, 1-0 up, fair enough. And then the next time I checked, it was 3-0. What quite has happened there?
I haven't been in from work very long, but I had a little sort of refresh of that game because they discussed it on Sky Sports News. Because was it the handball, one of the goals, was it disallowed or not disallowed? And but what I did see at half time, it should have been about 3-0 at half time. Because I thought Forest were very unlucky not to get a penalty. You have to both remind me, was that the handball one? Was it disallowed or was it given? You know, the one where it hit him from point blank range and he put it in the
Disallowed.
net. Yeah, it was disallowed. So I think is it Jay Bothroyd that does it on there now?
Yeah, on Sky. Yeah.
They were saying they should change rule and allow it. And I get it, he couldn't get out the way and all that sort of nonsense, but I think we change the handball rule nearly every bloody season, don't we? And at some point, you've got to draw the line somewhere. Because I don't know if you can remember. I don't think the law is in play now. But if there was a handball anywhere in the build-up, it was disallowed. Then it had to be the handball from someone that come directly involved in the goal. But from point blank range, I know it hit his arm. It's unlucky, but I think you've probably got to disallow it because you've got. Otherwise, we won't have handball soon. I know it is accidental, but I suppose the headline still was Liverpool still, and I didn't really see it coming. But I think the manager's under a lot of pressure.
It seems that way.
It seems like he's under a lot of pressure. Like a lot of managers, some fans after yesterday aren't having our manager at all, believe it or not, already after 12 games. But if the likes of Liverpool got rid of their manager, I can't see where they go. Like, it was only 6 months ago or a year ago that everyone was talking about Alonso in Leverkusen. He's not exactly lighting the world on fire in Madrid. So where do we all go with who's next? I can't see where any of these sort of big teams go next. You probably say that Pep's time's running out slowly at City. I can't think who's coming up where who they take. It's all sort of unknown names a little bit. But they're clearly struggling very bad, Liverpool, and I think we discussed it a few times, the reasons for it. Where it was a combination of too many players, was aging players. Obviously, what happened with Jota in the summer probably hasn't helped a great deal. But they haven't really got a big excuse because they're professional footballers. They've got world-class players there. Whether they haven't spotted a few coming to the end or not, I don't know. I refuse to believe that it's losing Trent's one of them because I was never one of Trent's biggest fans anyway. I don't know. It's a very strange one, but I think football in general is getting stranger.
It is. I mean, we've sat here and scratched our heads, haven't we? Josh, you're geographically close to this. Are you getting a sense that, I mean, we're all getting a sense that Liverpool are on a decline, but we're all sat here scratching our heads thinking, how does it change? And Sean's brought up the perfect point of where do they go? If Slot goes, where do they go?
Yeah, it's strange. I know a few people have mentioned Iriola from Bournemouth as the one they'd probably go for, but
is he going to leave? I mean, that's a it seems like a bizarre thing to say, but is he going to leave Bournemouth right now for
I think if they
Liverpool?
come knocking, he probably wouldn't turn it down. But you're not even sure that's the answer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Bournemouth, they are quite open at times. It's sort of one way of playing, and it's very gung ho, and you can get away with that at teams like Bournemouth. But would it work with Liverpool? You're not even convinced on that one. So I'm not sure. But the narrative on Slot has changed very quickly. Just about 6 weeks ago, he was one of the best managers in the world, and now the majority of the fan base wants them out. But I can see why, when you've spent that much money and the 11th in the league table, I get, of course, he is going to be under pressure. But I sort of just think it's just been too much change too quickly, sort of thing. He tried to throw all the signings straight in the starting 11 at the start of the season. None of them seemed ready. A lot of the signings come from new leagues as well. It's not up to the physicality or pace of the league. Kirkes, it's one I just can't explain, because he was literally probably the best left back in the Premier League last season, and then he's just been really poor. But then I think there's other problems. You've got people like Jeremy Frimpong, who I know he's injured now, but even when he was fit, he was one of the best right backs in the Bundesliga. But then Slot was playing him right wing and picking Szoboszlai right back ahead of him, who's a centre mid. That's bizarre. Vert, he looks like just the physicality of the league. He's not up to it. I think he was injured at the weekend. But even before that, like in that Man City game, he just looked like he got bullied to me. And obviously Mark Gay, not getting him over the line the last day. That probably didn't help, because Canate has had an absolute murder season, and the only backup is Joe Gomez, who's not very good at all. So I just think there's just been too much change too quickly. But I'll be honest, I did thought they were going to absolutely like win the league comfortably with the signings they got. But obviously it's not panned out that way. They're just far too
But that's the
open.
point. I mean, Terry says it. Terry says it. I get the feeling that Liverpool understandably thought they could just turn up and take the title again, and I think we all fell victim of that. I mean, I sat at the start of the season and said they're going to win it by 10, 15 points, and that's made me look really daft now. I just couldn't see a way of anybody challenging them, and they're now 11th, a month before Christmas. Like, yeah, it's just bonkers. A couple more comments on that one. Once Forest scored, they took over and could have had 5. Virgil van Dijk spends more time waving his arms than opening. He's, again, I think Van Dijk is probably a player that symbolises everything at Liverpool at the moment. Somebody that is just on a gradual, pretty swift decline at the moment, but it's been really peculiar. Now, we were talking of Andoni Iraola there, and we can make a swift segue to the Vitality, which was a really bizarre game as I was sat in my padded seat in Bournemouth. And Bournemouth found themselves, and Iraola found himself 2 goals down at half time. And he was probably scratching his head in the interval thinking, how? And so was I, to be totally honest. Bournemouth dominated pretty much everything. And basically, Callum Wilson got the ball twice and scored twice. It was a complete masterclass of clinical finishing. We broke twice, we scored twice, and Bournemouth didn't quite know what hit them. Like, they didn't quite know what to do. They had all of the ball. They didn't really do a lot with it in the first half. A couple of chances, but we defended quite well. And got remember Areola making a save in the first half. Second half was different. But we had not played well, not commanded, and we're 2-0 up at half time. And we knew they were going to come back, and it was going to shift, and it did, but it didn't shift as a result of Bournemouth becoming any better. I don't say it very often, but I put the blame solely towards the manager, unfortunately, which I don't like to do. But he even said in his post-match press conference, he said, I probably took Wilson off too early. He took Wilson off on 52 minutes. He took our left winger off, Guilherme, at half time. He wasn't great, but for a left wing back in Walker Peters, and Walker Peters literally didn't cross the halfway line in the whole second half. He didn't. I literally don't think he did. We camped ourselves and parked the bus for 45 minutes, which has become a trend. We did it against Newcastle, got away with it just. We did it at Burnley, got away with it just. When we get ahead, you park the bus, and that's what he's done for his first 3 games. And this time it's cost him 2 points. Now listen, if we'd carried on going how we were going, they may have come back into the game because they were the better side. But we literally took Wilson off, didn't have an outlet up front for 20 minutes before Souček then came on, and we didn't challenge the keeper. The keeper up our end, whoever the Bournemouth keeper is, he literally just as well have not been there, because we didn't have any attempt on goal or even look threatening at all in that second half. And the inevitable happened, and in the end, we were probably just about lucky to cling on to a point with a late Bournemouth barrage. Josh, we were talking about Iraola there. they were what I expected. I haven't watched a lot of Bournemouth, but they had a lot of the ball, not a lot with it, but in the end, got their goals and got a point. They'll feel disappointed with it, in my opinion. What did you make of it when you saw 2-2 at the end?
Yeah, I saw the stats and it's something, Bournemouth had something like more than 4 XG or something, and something like 25 shots to West Ham's 4. So it sounded like I think they were pretty unlucky and be a bit disappointed to draw from what I heard. But I thought it could be a tricky game for them with the way they play. They leave a lot of space in behind. They often are a bit open, and I thought that probably suits Nuno. And when you went 2-0 up, it's sort of exactly how I thought it would go. But then, as you said, Nuno usually parks the bus. And looks like it's costing 2 points there. But from what I've heard, it also sounds like Bournemouth would probably be disappointed to draw in the end because second half it was just complete one-way traffic.
It was. I mean, Sean, I don't know whether you noticed it when the short time Nuno was in charge at Spurs, but it's just cropped up into my head every single week that he's got a head. And literally, like Newcastle, Burnley, we had 8 players on the pitch for the last 15 minutes for both of those. 8 defenders, sorry, 8 defenders on the pitch for the last 15 minutes of those games. I've never seen. I mean, Moyes was defensive, but I've never seen such a deliberate defensive ploy week after week when he gets hit. It's like he's getting ahead and he's like, right, let's stop and let's really try and shore it up. It worked the first 2 games, but it was pretty brainless on Saturday.
I did watch most of this game on the old dodgy stick, which I shouldn't say on here. I did watch it. I was messaging your dad at the time during the game, and he did go too early with the subs, and especially how sharp Wilson looked as well. Especially the second goal was a very sharp striker's goal. He did go a little bit early, but you just said that was he like it at Tottenham when he was there? He not like that really, but you've got to remember when he took over the Tottenham job, we were expected to qualify for Europe, and he's taken over the West Ham job where you were looking like candidates for a possible relegation. So you got 2 completely different scenarios. You said he got away with it twice. Great. So he's probably given up on the win a bit early. However, walking into the Vitality, you'd have took a point walking in, and you've walked out of it. And he's walked out of a point, and it's another point closer to safety. That is, you'd be frustrated that he gave up on could be a brilliant win. If you won that game put it this way, if you won the game on Saturday, that would probably go down as one of the best wins you've had in probably as long as you in the short period. Quite a long time. I remember you won away at Brighton a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
It'd be up there with that. Do you know what I mean? It would. So yeah, it's frustrating, but at this stage of the season, don't get me wrong. If you start to get you up the table and into next season when you start afresh, you'd probably want a different approach. But at the moment, do you know what I mean? You more or less put yourself as a struggling team already after 12 games, and he's chipping away at the points slowly. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to look past the frustration a little bit, and I think he'll probably learn from it. He's also learning from players that he can trust and can't trust. I wasn't that impressed with Bournemouth, to be honest. I thought for all the balls, I know you did a big low block, but a lot of their crossing was very, very hopeful stuff. It was just lost.
It seems like, do you know what? It seems like I was watching it, Sean, and I don't know if you agree, but it seems like it was watching Man City's little brother. Like that's what I felt. Like they had all of the ball, they tried, but I mean, Man City have the end product.
Semenyo was injured.
Semenyo was out. Yeah.
I just for long spells I didn't see them scoring really. I sound like Tadibo, I forgot his name now. Can't pronounce it. Yeah. He was mopping up loads of I call free headers really. Do you know what I mean? They were going in, but then again, I'm going to spin it on its head again. Remember at the start of the season, you played Sunderland and then you played someone else where you kept letting in these free headers. Was it against us as well, where someone ran through on a header? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So if you're sitting deep and winning lots of headers, do you know what I mean?
And it's an absolute miracle that it's the exact same players that couldn't win a header in the first 4 games of the season.
It's not nice after 10 or even 8, 9, 10 games thinking, right, we're crap this season, we're going to struggle and sacking them out. But then so you've got to take heart from slow improvements. And I don't know who you've got next.
Liverpool.
say it's home to Liverpool, I suppose, next. So if you I know they're in poor form. If you took a point against them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is going to be one of them seasons. Like if you manage to get a nice FA Cup run, go through a couple of rounds, great. If you climb up to 13th, something like that, by chipping away, win here, loss there, draw there. Do you know what I mean? It's got to go down as a good outcome to the season, and I don't think the grand scheme of things, I think a 2-2 draw away to Bournemouth is a pretty tidy result, really.
Absolutely. I mean, we were all talking in the build-up to it, looking ahead to Liverpool away. Liverpool at home and then Man United away as our next two games. Two teams that, regardless of how they play, we always seem to fall short against, no matter how crap Man United mostly are. So it's two games that we always struggle with, and to just get another point on the board to make it. Listen, if you'd have offered me 7 points from the three of Newcastle, Burnley, and Bournemouth, I'd have absolutely taken it. So it was a valuable point, and I think you're right in the sense of. See, I said he's right and he's gone. Right in the sense of Nuno will learn from it. Absolutely right. Comments. Hi lads. Hi. It was a good scrap in the terrible weather on the south coast. I thought, and the away fans were quality subs terrible. Cannot disagree with that one. Right, I'm going to make an editorial decision to skip Newcastle versus Man City because Man City have done what they seem to typically do. And we're going to go to Ellen Road, Leeds 1, Aston Villa 2. Josh, you mentioned to me beforehand that you weren't fantastic. Seems to be a recurring theme of not fantastic teams are going to Ellen Road and they're beating them. And that's not what Leeds will want to do with the asset of Ellen Road.
No, not at all. I don't think Leeds are great at all. I think they'll probably go down. I thought first 10 games they looked okay. I thought maybe the home form might keep them up. Obviously, quite intimidating crowd. I thought they'd be all right at home. I still think in most home games they have been in every home game they played. Now they lost to Spurs, now they lost to Villa, beat West Ham. And I think Spurs and Villa are the only ones they've lost at home. So I do think they will be okay at home. But I really don't think they're that great, to be honest. I thought their only threat they really posed was set pieces, and we decided to give a stupid foul away in the edge of the box 5 minutes in, which put them in front. Weak goalkeeping from Martinez, and they were checking VAR for a foul. It was never a foul, just quite weak, to be honest, and it was a perfectly good goal in the end. And first half, we just completely dominated the ball, just created an out, just typical away performance really under Emery, like not slagging him off at all, but his style of play away from home, it's usually the slow patient build up which often doesn't work against low blocks. But start the second half we started moving the ball a little bit quicker, which definitely helped. We got the early goal literally 5 minutes into the second half, and then you back us to go on and win then, and we did. Bit of a scare last 20 minutes, literally straight from kick-off after our second goal. Dan James scored, but thankfully it was ruled out for handball because it hit Calvert-Lewin's hand on the way in. That was a bit of a let-off. Matson switched off and let James in behind. But yeah, I really don't think we were great, to be honest. We were trying to see it out and keep the ball, and we kept losing it in the midfield. But Kamara had one of the probably his worst game in a Villa shirt. I've spoke highly of him on here, but he was awful. Tielemans only just come back from injury after a while out, so he didn't really look fit, to be honest. It was the subs that changed the game. He brought Marlon and Matson on at half time. Marlon instantly got an assist. He's just something different. He's a bit of headless chicken at times, runs down blind alleys, but he's a bit of pace, and that's something that this team lacks. So I think for me, he's got to start now. He is just something, offers us something completely different. And I thought he changed the game. Matson as well, also a lot more mobile than Digne at left back. Probably not as sturdy defensively, but when you've got to win a game against a side like that, he probably is the better option. I thought he was quite a decent outlet as well for us. So yeah, I didn't think we were great. I didn't think we saw the game out great at all. They had a couple of chances late on, which we got away with. A couple of good saves from Martinez. I think at home they will cause a few teams problems just because of the home crowd, really. But to be honest, I didn't think they were that great. They looked dangerous from set pieces. They were quite a bit more intent than I expected, which probably played into our hands a little bit. But yeah, I think that's about it for them. It wouldn't surprise me if they go down. I think all newly promoted teams look good first 10 games, but I think now you've got West Ham and Forest picking up. I think Wolves are safe to go down. I think West Ham and Forest will stay up now, and I think the other two come up. Burnley and Leeds would probably be the ones to go. But as for Villa, into fourth now, which after that Sunderland game, what was it, that the sixth game where we still hadn't won a game, we'd only just scored the first goal of the season. I'd have never had said that coming into like December we'd be fourth in the league. It's quite unreal what we're doing, to be fair. Like Newcastle, they've massively dropped off and they've spent a lot more money than us. We've had teams improving around us. Spurs, Man United, been able to spend what they want. We've spent 30 million, and he's still just somehow getting this team challenging for top four. We're definitely worse off than last season in terms of the squad we've got. I mean, we've got players like Buendia, who were basically deemed surplus to requirements last season as one of our main players this season, main starters. And somehow he's still getting this team challenging for Champions League. It's just unreal what the manager's come in and done, to be honest. Looked like we were finally dropping off a bit to start the season, and he's found a way, I guess, again to have us challenging for Champions League, which is where you want to be, where the revenue is. So yeah, I'd say the performances haven't been great, but he's working with what he's got. I'm fourth in the league. That is, I'd snap your hand off if you offered me that to finish there at the end of the season. So yeah, it's a good result at a tough place to go, I suppose.
And Villa have quietly, catapulted themselves up to fourth in the league. And I knew Josh was going to say fourth in the league, and I just watched Sean's facial expression when he said fourth in the league, because I didn't realise either. I mean, didn't win in the first six, and then now fourth in the league. A remarkable, a remarkable series of events for Aston Villa, and now a point off of Manchester City, I think, in third. Mental. But right, I do feel like I'm rubbing salt into the wound here, because I've starved Sean of the opportunity to talk about his beloved Leeds, and I'm now going to have to go on to Arsenal for Spurs. But it's not a good week for you, Sean. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you talk.
Well, you two are a little bit too young to remember what it's like to lose a big derby, basically.
Here he goes.
Neither of you two have really got it. But Tottenham, well, I suppose can't grumble being a top club, but we play Tottenham, Arsenal, and Chelsea every single year, home and away, and our record against both teams is absolutely abysmal. And yesterday was probably, we've already lost to Chelsea this year. Yesterday was probably the worst in a very, very, very long time. You get all the spiel before a derby, don't you? How it means a lot to everyone, and it's a big game. We've prepared, we're ready, blah blah blah. I haven't rated Arsenal at all this year, not really, and I can't really judge on that game. I couldn't really tell you if they were good yesterday or not. I think our tactics were, when we went to back three, I thought, yeah, it's worth a go. I could sort of get it, but we just don't seem to progress the ball. The goalkeeper gets the ball, we pass it out. It probably goes back to him. It goes across the defence. If we play two holding midfielders, they're both good enough at doing that on a good day. Although they let Eze score one or two shots from the edge of the box where they should be mopping it up. We had no one that could really put the foot on the ball. No one that could slow the game down. No one that could progress through the channels. It just, nothing at all was good. Nothing at all was right. Rightfully so, the fans, because it is a huge, huge derby, are not happy at all. Loads have gone probably over the top of not being happy. Other than that, I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest. It was a shameful performance in a game where we've been, put it this way, we've been to Arsenal we've been to Arsenal over the years where they've had better teams and we've had a worse team and we've put on a better showing. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure. I know you got Josh's granddad, Everton fan. I think I read it. Was an Everton fan on Talksport or something like that? Or I might have read it. I can't remember. He's turned around and this comment I wrote that in the last 20 years, Liverpool have had some superstar teams and Everton have been woeful. But every time they go to Anfield, more often than not, bar a couple, they've put up a fight. Do you know what I mean? They've shown some aggression. They've they haven't always rolled over, and I think that's kind of what you want. Like I said, Arsenal are a better team than us. They've got better players in most positions. They've spent probably 500 million more in the last 5 years than what we have, but we're not a terrible side. We've got players there that can compete. We got the back five should be able to defend better than that. I think I'm quite confident a few of our forwards are half decent, but we just had nothing. It was very, very pathetic, lackluster. Our record before and after international breaks is either before or after both. It's diabolical. It's like we come back just not prepared at all. I don't really know what else to say on it, to be honest, other than that.
Josh, you watched it. I didn't. I mean, I was on a train and there was somebody a little way down the carriage who was an Arsenal fan who was being really loud as the goals were going in. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, he's making this up. He went, oh my God, it's 3-0. And I'm like, surely not. And it was. And it did shock me a little bit. You watched it from an outside point of view. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I thought Spurs were pathetic, to be fair. I think they clearly just come for the 0-0, and as soon as they went 1 goal down, the game plan was sort of just out the window. I don't think they had a shot first half. I'm pretty sure that's right. Not a single shot. Yeah, going with a back five, I think it just completely set up for a draw. Spurs are probably, I thought, would be better suited to that style of football. The away forms were much better than the home form. Under Frank, usually just trying to hit teams on the break. The football isn't the prettiest. I'm pretty sure they've only won 1 game at home, and that's the first one they've lost away in the Premier League. But yeah, Arsenal, they didn't think they had to be too good, to be honest. They didn't really think they had to get out of second or third gear. Obviously, Eze with a top performance, getting a hat-trick. But even so, I didn't really think they had to do anything too special. Usually they just rely on a 1-0 and a set piece against the better teams, and they didn't have to do that. I thought it could have been much more than 4, and they never really got out of second or third gear. But I've not even been that impressed with Arsenal this season, to be honest. I think usually all they do is just try and grind teams to death that don't exactly take the game to teams. I'd say away from home, they just rely on a 1-0 set piece or they draw. That's what usually happens. They're just very hard to beat. He's built a team of absolute units, a back four of centre backs. Timber and Calafiori used to be centre halves. He's just turned him into full backs. Same with Ben White. But with the money they've spent, they probably should be top of the league. Like I was saying to you before we come on, Jake Lewis-Skelly, probably England's best left back, and he can't even get in Arsenal's team. Ben White also probably gets in most Premier League teams, starting 11, and he can't get in either. The strength and depth they've got is just ridiculous. They've got Odegaard and Eze as the 2 number 10s. 3 strikers were all injured, to be fair, but Gyökeres, Jesus and Havertz. Like the depth is just unreal. And I actually think Arteta is probably what's holding them back. I do think they'll win it this season, but I think they could have won one before, or even more than one, if it weren't for him. But yeah, I've not been that impressed with him, to be fair. I think he's just built a team of just basically just units. I think that 1 year where they blew it, they were about 10 points clear with 10 games to go, and you end up losing it. That was quite a small technical team. Players like Zinchenko, Jesus, Odegaard, and I think since then he's sort of just thought, right, I can't win a league like that. So since then he's just gone too far the other way, to the sort of Mourinho type of way, where it's just I'd say he plays a back four of centre backs, and it's sort of just the football's not great. But if that's the way he's going to win the league, then so be it. I think last season that wasn't enough to win the league, but now with the strength and depth they've added, and with how poor everyone else looks this season, I really can't see anyone catching them, and I still think they'll end up running away with it.
Yeah, I think it's a depth for them. Sean, where do you go from here? Well, I've seen all of the Frank outposts that you've commented on that have come up on my timeline. You've referenced an overreaction. Where to now?
We go to Paris on Wednesday, mate. We're
That'd be
waiting
nice.
for PSG, the Champions League. That's where we go.
Blimey.
It's a strange one because Ange was OTT attacking at times, even though that attacking sort of gameplay fizzled out a little bit. I think we found Frank a little bit more defensive than what we were expecting him to be. I don't remember him being quite this defensive at Brentford, if I'm being totally honest. It might be a lot to do with he hasn't got the players to suit him just yet. You've got an overreaction, as I said, because of the game, the nature of the defeat. It wasn't just that we didn't. I'm not a big fan of this XG, but our XG was 0 at halftime yesterday. Obviously, we scored a wonder goal. It's the only way we're probably ever going to score. It's not the first game where we barely had any shots. We've had We've had Champions League games where we've ground out draws. Home to Villarreal, we beat them with an own goal. I think we had like 2 shots. I've forgotten who we beat in the last game, but we don't have many shots on goal. Tottenham fans just won't have that. Do you know what I mean? Going back to Nuno, like you said a minute ago, when he had the job there, Tottenham fans do demand a level of attacking football. They do have these sort of standards. They've never really been in a position over the years where they have expected to play survival football. I don't know. I don't think he's under any pressure whatsoever. Some fans are talking like they want him gone already, purely because I think it's a lot to do with the nature of the result yesterday. I think they've been there and seen this a little bit before in the past, and that's because they tend to give up on someone if they don't think it's going to work. I think we've got Fulham and Brentford in our next 2 league games. They're obviously more important than away to PSG because when you look at the Champions League fixtures, you kind of write off that one a little bit and look at the other games to pick up points. I think a lot of fans have had enough of what they call the double pivot of Bentancur Palhinha in midfield. It's probably got to be one or the other. We have got talented players, but I think I said to you a while ago, our transfer windows, we ballsed up a couple of years ago by buying too many too young. Like, I'm adamant we've got talented players in your Bergvals, your Archie Grays, possibly to a lesser extent, Mattis Tell, Odebert, but they were all 30 million signings. Obviously, we brought in who's the other one we brought in? I'm a big fan of Sarr midfield, but he's never won his early 20s. So we've bulked out the team with young players that probably aren't quite good enough to all be playing in the same team yet. And I think the manager's come in and realised that. We bought Kudos, that was a good sign. That's working out all right. We got a striker on loan who can't stay fit. We got Solanke who can't stay fit. We need to keep chipping away at the squad. I don't think Xavi Simons has been as bad as what a lot of people make out. He's probably Tottenham's best player when he come on. He was our best player in the Champions League in one of the last games before the window. But when you get a player like that who's very good on the ball, you've kind of got to build a midfield around him. He's the one who's progressive. So if you play Xavi Simons in the 10 role, and we haven't really got a left winger who he play next to, and then he's got 2 holders behind him, you get that creative player very isolated. Do you know what I mean? So I think what I'm saying really is the balance is way off in the style of the players, but also in the age and the experience. Like, we've had games where we've played Odebert and Tell up front and thinking they're both so raw. Do you know what I mean? We probably are good enough to challenge for Champions League this year because Josh just said that Villa are 4th. Do you know what I mean? So we're not knocking them. The level of getting the top 4 this year, it takes like 3 wins in a row, and then you get look at the table. But the balance of experience and the style is off. It's not there. And I know Richarlison scored a wonder goal, but he's back up front. Solanke can't get fit. All he does is go to film premieres. And Muani, like a lot of we buy players, they have a good game and then they get injured and then they come back for a couple of games and they're gone again. And we go on like that a bit, but
I think I speak for Josh when I say we've enjoyed listening to your therapy session, Sean. I feel like you've really, you've let you know what? I very rarely see you angry, but you nearly got a little bit. Very nearly there, talking about Solanke and premieres, and I sense some simmering anger, which is very
might sound
rare.
petty, but I've copied like a lot of these comments. You read a tweet and a lot of them you roll your eyes and move on, but I did agree with this tweeter last week and the week before. I think he was it. I think it might have been a Stranger Things function or something, with his missus on his arm, dressed in his over the top baggy designer suit, and it's like, I'm not going to say the exact word that it was used, but he said the bloke's everywhere but a football pitch. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking like, I didn't get quite so annoyed when Maddison was filming himself with Angry Ginge the other week.
With Angry Ginge.
Because he's doing like he's doing his own sort of YouTube channel or something like that.
Channel, yeah.
But
who would want a flipping YouTube channel? Who would want to do that?
I just think you got to read the room a little bit. If fans are so we're level on the most injuries in the league again. Do you know what I mean? If you've cost the club a fortune and you're earning 150 grand a week, keep your head down. At the moment, do you know? I know we had a few back on the bench at the weekend, but they were all kids again. But if you've got like 3 or 4 of our decent players out, just read the room and stay at home. And if your missus wants to go to the cinema, give her the tickets.
Do you know what, Josh? In 3 years, I don't think I've ever seen Sean quite as agitated as that. Have you?
No. Yeah, it's quite funny.
Right, there we go. We've all been there. I've been there more times than you. So there we go. Thank you very much indeed. We have now got 20 minutes until Manchester United versus Everton, which I'm sure will be riveting for us all to feast our eyes upon. I think Sean is going on a football sabbatical, to be honest, by the sounds of the way he is talking. But Josh and Sean, thank you very much indeed. I will see you both next week.
Okay. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Until then, we will see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much. And if by any chance there's any Tottenham players watching who's thinking of going to the cinema, please don't. Honestly, don't. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you later.
Cheers.